Welcome back to Real Talk. It is finally a super sunny day in Boston. We're going to keep the blinds down so that you can actually see us and our very special guest, Katrine. She's the class of 2017 and sort of decided to pave her own path and create her own exchange story in England. We'll be right back with Katrine. Welcome back to this week's episode of Real Talk. It is a super warm day in Boston, but poor Katrine is freezing in Denmark, coming live from her home right now. Welcome to Real Talk. So good to see you. I feel like leaning in when talking to you because I feel like we're in the same room, but we're not. It's been a couple months, I guess, since we were at camp and welcome days in the UK. But you're the class of 17, so you actually are 2 years out from first arriving on your exchange.
Yeah. Yes, I am.
Does it feel strange, like looking back that 2 falls ago you started?
Yeah, like the strange thing is that like last year I kept saying, oh, last year I was in England, but now I keep saying last year I was in England, but I wasn't. Like my Snapchat memories keeps being like, oh, 2 years ago. I'm like, nope. No, that was last year, and it's just not, it's so weird that it's been like so long.
It does go really, really quickly, and I mean, if you think back to when you first decided to go on exchange, that probably felt super long ago. When was that? When did you decide, okay, I'm going, and I'm gonna do something totally different and go to the UK?
I think I was just getting so fed up with like my student life in Denmark. Like I was on my second to last year of finishing like ground school in Denmark, and I was like, I need something exciting to happen. And I was at my dad's house, and we watched this program about the United States, and he was like, oh, that's so strange, blah 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 blah. And I said, like, I always wanted to live like in another country than Denmark. And he was like, yeah, you could go on exchange. And I was like, but America is so far away. And we went to Florida like 2 years before that. So I already kind of felt like I experienced the United States. So I went online and I saw that you could go to England. And basically I told my dad, like, I'm going to sign up for this now. And I did. And I didn't even speak to my mom before. And then I guess it just happened.
And you make this super good video in your application. We'll have to make sure that we play it for everyone because it's adorable to see your English then compared to now.
As I said, I'm Katrine. I live in Denmark. This is still a little boring, isn't it? Maybe we need cat. I think we need a cat.
Oh my god, that video, it's so embarrassing. I watched it the other day with my friend and I couldn't see it. I was like, no.
You're like standing by a staircase and you're like, hello! It's so great. How did you feel your English was before you went to England?
You know, I thought it was okay, to be fair. I was on top of my class and everyone was like, oh, you don't need to go to England to learn English. And I was like, well, I'm going there because I know English already. But then I found out that it wasn't that great when watching back now. But now I feel like I speak better English than I speak Danish.
That's so great. And then you got a little bit of the accent. I can hear it coming through.
Yeah.
But I imagine that was maybe challenging too when you first got there to understand people with more, pronounced accents.
Yeah, definitely, because when you go to England, I feel like you just expect all the British people to talk with this normal, I guess, British accent that you see on TV and on YouTube and stuff. And then where I landed, it was like in the north, and I've never heard English like that before. I was like, what is he saying? Especially my host dad, he was like mumbling. And like the first few weeks, all I was doing was smiling and nodding. Like he could be talking about something so sad, I'll be like, yeah, cool. Just no clue. But now it's all good.
It's always really funny when in the beginning the smiling, nodding, because people ask you questions and you're like, yes, but it like wasn't a yes or no question, and you're like, yes.
Exactly. Like there's not much conversation going on sometimes because you just don't like know what's going on, but you don't kind of want to say, oh, sorry, I don't understand. So you're just like, yeah.
And what was that like once you got to school? Like, what was school even like in England? I'm sure it's quite different than anything people imagine it to be.
Yeah, so in Denmark, I have like 13 different subjects, and I know I have to do them, but in England, I only had 3. So that was kind of weird. Also, I'm so used to being with the same people and in the same room all day. So like the teachers go from class to class in Denmark. So suddenly I had to do the walking, and I was like, no, I just want to sit here. And I was so confused, like, where am I supposed to be? Just running around the school, not knowing what was going on. But everyone was so nice. So when they saw me, they were like, Katrine, you need to be here. And the first few months it was like that because I just followed my friends around, so I never really learned my way around my school, really.
Oh no! So did you get to pick your classes, or were you just like thrown in these 3 classes?
No, I got to pick them all by myself. Like we asked the school if we needed to take any specific subjects, but they were like, no, do whatever you want. This is your year. So I just chose what I found the most interesting, but also I switched classes quite a lot in the beginning to find out what I wanted to do. Because I thought I wanted to do math, but I really quickly realized that I did not want to do math, so I didn't.
Which classes did you take then?
I took government and politics, performing arts, and film studies.
Oh, that's so cool. That must have been like really strange and like a unique experience to do in English in the northern part of the UK, theater and film.
Yeah, like the film, I never knew, because I just thought that every film I was watching was like from Hollywood. But suddenly I realized that actually England is quite big in the film industry as well. So still now when I watch movies and I see like working titles, which is like a huge film company in England, I go like, oh, this is British, guys, this is not American, guys, this is British. And all my friends are like, we don't care. I just think it's so cool that now you can kind of see the difference between where the film's actually from.
That's awesome. And so did you really like theater? Were you in any performances, anything like that?
Well, I actually didn't go to audition for the school musical because I was too scared. But we did case studies, and we watched loads online because we had to like analyze different scenes, and also we had to do some of our exams and like midterms. We had to do like 2 different performances. So we did one dance. It was called the ghost dance, and it was really cool. We like wore masks, and I was with my 2 friends, and we like took t-shirts and we just teared them up so we would be like ghosts. And then we did a play about the Second World War, how children got shipped to the countryside so they would be safe. So that was really cool.
That's a very intense academic experience to do on top of exchange. But I mean, you keep mentioning your friends, and how did that even happen? I think that before we go on exchange, we sort of dream about finding a family and friends. But what did you do to find these friends and kind of make a community there?
I think that I was really lucky that my host sister actually kind of took the first step to get friends, because then I just kind of got introduced. But through my performing arts class, we were only 8 people, I think. And there I met my best friend, Eleanor. And then she introduced me to her friend group. So I still talk to them almost every day. And yeah, it just kind of happened. Like when people ask me how to make friends, I go like, oh, I really don't know. But I guess it just comes natural when you're in lessons that you speak to people.
And it's a different school size, right? So like how big was your school that you went to?
Oh, it was actually quite big because we both had like sixth form, which is like the 2 last years, and then the high school. The small kids in uniforms were also like around our school. But I would say, yeah, it was quite big, like around 1,000, I think, students, yeah.
Wow. And how did you get to school? Because I think that's such a different part of the UK of how you actually get around and move about.
So we took the bus every morning for 40 minutes, filled with kids that was going to the same school as we were.
So if it took you that long to get back and forth, did you do many things outside of school, like whenever you weren't there?
Yeah, so every day after school we would go into like the city center and we would often get hot chocolate or coffee or like just go to cafes or shopping. Because we didn't really go around each other's houses that much because it was way easier to just go to a cafe.
Yeah, because you all probably live like very far away.
Yeah, we kind of did. Yeah.
It's so, like, I feel like the UK is one of those things where, you know, if you go on YouTube, you see those videos of expectations versus reality, and there's lots of those for the US, but there's really not for England. So what are some of the things that you would say you were expecting or what it really was like when it comes to the culture?
I think the tea and the rain, like, I expected the rain, like, all the time. But I really didn't find it that it rained that much. Like, I remember 2 days where I thought, okay, I give this to you, England. It can rain in England, like, wow. But I thought it was gonna be like that every day, and it wasn't. I honestly think it rains more in Denmark. And also, I thought that they didn't drink anything else than tea, and that I was gonna be like forced to drink tea because I don't really like tea that much. So I thought I was gonna be forced to drink tea all the time. And yeah, I did drink quite a lot of tea, but not like that much. Like, I think people like expect the tea to be way crazier than it actually is.
That's a really interesting point, because I'm not even sure if I would know what you guys eat or like what is typical in England. What are some of the cultural things that you really loved that you gravitate towards?
I mean, the food and the whole cafe culture. Like, just with going to cafes, because we don't really do that here. We go to each other's houses, but I would be so rich if I got all the money that I spent on like going on to cafes back, because we just sat there like every single day almost. So I really like that part. What else did I really like? Just like the politeness. Like, sometimes it would be a bit like, why are you saying thank you? I didn't do anything. But I feel like because you're so polite, it just creates like a good atmosphere. And you just feel welcome. Like, maybe you're not even welcome, but you will still feel welcome.
It's so good and so unusual, because in Danish you probably don't say sorry, please, thank you as much, because it's just sort of underlying.
No, like in Denmark we don't actually have like a word that like directly translates please. So that word doesn't really exist in Denmark.
Wow. Was that sort of an issue at all with your host family? I can imagine, like, when you first get there and you're learning to live in English and they're probably expecting you to say please, thank you, and sorry. Was that hard to adjust to sort of say it as often as they expected?
Yeah, I think especially because I come from like a quite stressed family, like with like people running to different activities all the time and in and out, and there was never really time to like say please, I guess, and like thank you, because everything was like so high speed. And when we were eating dinner, it would just be like, give me the potatoes, give me this, give me that. And sometimes they gave me a bit weird of a look because they would be like, Katrine. I'm like, oh, sorry, please, please. But I think at the end, I got it. But also when we learned English in school, we learned that you have to say please all the time. So I kind of knew. And also at camp, they kind of told us that you need to say please all the time.
Good. Well, you are a very proper British lady yourself now at this point. And I think the thing that's really interesting is when we talk about your exchange, you always say, my exchange is not a normal exchange story. It's different than everyone else. What do you mean by that?
I think that, like, obviously I was in a different place than like other people, but also I'm a different person, which also makes my exchange unique. Like, I focused on different things than what other people did. I kind of just wanted to live the everyday life. I didn't really have like a bucket list, which I kind of regret now, but I just went into it and was like, okay, I'll just see wherever this takes me. I kind of saw it as a chance to explore myself. So that was kind of my focus, where I feel like some people went into this experience thinking, I need to like experience this and this and this and this and this. And I was just so laid back and like, let's just see what happens.
where do you see your exchange story going? You know, it's just another chapter and another chapter. Yes, your year is over, but what's next for you? What else are you hoping to do?
I'm definitely hoping to keep helping the future students with EF. That's something I love to do. Just this Sunday, I met 3 girls who are going to the UK this summer. So that was super exciting. I definitely hope that I could do exchange again myself. I really want to go to Canada. So I'm really excited to just see where this brings me. Now I know that I can do it, and I feel comfortable and confident going into new countries because I already did it once, which is such a nice feeling to know that I'm not going to be stuck in Denmark forever.
Yeah, maybe don't say that directly to your parents, but like...
Oh no, they know. They're like, okay, Katrine, just stay here for 2 more years, please. Not yet, please just stay. Because I need to finish school here first.
Nice. And it's, if you look back, right, so if you look back to the funny video of you in front of the staircase getting so excited to go on exchange to you now, what do you think has changed the most? What is it about you that's different?
I think my confidence, and also I kind of feel like I know my values, who I am now, way more than back then. Back then I was very insecure, didn't really know what I wanted in my life, and I still don't, but I was so stressed and nervous about life in general and where I was going to end up, where now I kind of see that actually it's like I'm in power and control my own life, and I can do with it what I want, and everything is going to be fine in the end. So I definitely think that, confidence, and I'm more calm now about the whole life situation.
About the whole life situation. That is such a great way. Calm about life. But you're spot on. Exchange really does just ground you. You just know whatever comes at me, I got this. Whether it's not understanding a word that your host dad says, or sort of breaking into friend groups at school, to hopefully going to Canada someday, you've got it. And I love that you help people so much, and you probably say this every single day, but I love asking everyone, what would you say to somebody who's thinking about going on exchange?
First of all, do it, and enjoy it, and make it your own, because I had days where I compared my exchange to my friends' exchanges, and I felt like I wasn't doing enough, that they had more friends than me, their family was nicer. But in the end, I wouldn't change anything. And you're in control of your own exchange. I think that is really important. You could do what you want with it.
That's awesome. That's so good. And I think it's so obvious that you took control of your exchange, and you still are, which is why you're involved, and you've been back to England, and hopefully we'll have more and more adventures to come. And if any of you have questions about England, about sort of taking on your exchange, making it your own, you can leave the questions in the boxes below, and we'll make sure that Katrine gets a chance to answer them. We'll also share your amazing My EF Exchange Story video. It gives you a little hint into your application video as well, which is fantastic. But if you have questions, definitely reach out. This is awesome. You're awesome. Thank you so much for keep being great. Go crush your exams. I know you're still in school, but hopefully we'll see you in Canada.
I hope so.
Amazing. Thanks so much for joining us again on Real Talk, guys. We will be back next week with another episode of Honest, Raw, and super real stories from exchange students.
I look in your eyes, there's no way that I can disguise all these crazy